Eric Burgess here with Music Marketing TV. Today we're going to be checking out the Pro Multiband by FabFilter, and we're going to be doing some multiband processing to some drums. Let me introduce you to the mix we will be further mixing. This is what it sounds like. Yeah, I've got to love those bass clarinets. So, okay. We're going to be doing the drums. So let's go ahead. I have a bus here with the drums going through. I like to do multi-band stuff on buses typically because this is sort of the glue. We're going to use this to get our drums to agree with each other and also help them find a home in our mix. So if we go ahead and play this, this is just the drums. We have a kick, snare, hat, and a snap. Try and take in as much information about where they are in space and what we could potentially do to them. Now I'm doing this with the bands on. So let's bypass this and just hear what it sounds like without this. So one thing you might notice is the hats have changed position a little bit. They're a bit brighter. The snare's reverb is running around like a maniac, just throwing reverb mist everywhere. And I wasn't the biggest fan of that. I also think I could get the kick to come out a little bit better. There's also two kicks, if you notice that. There's kicks that are layered up here, and they're not layered over here. If I were to expand this out into a full beat, I may experiment with that more. But for now, I actually like where it's sitting. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at those things. So the first order of our business is let's take a look at the kick. So here, I've got the kick, but do I want to bring out the body of the kick, or do I want to go after the attack of the kick? And in this case, I'm actually aiming for the attack. The body is already plenty there. Like, no problem there. A fader move would do that for me. And when you listen to it, especially when we get over here, like, that's fine. That's great where it is. So what I want to do is I want to target the attack of the kick. And one way we can do this is we can go after where the pitch bend begins, because kicks are basically a really fast pitch bend down. This kick isn't all that. It's like a mix. It's a sound design topic, okay? But what we want to do is we want to find the beginning of where this kind of happens, which is in this range. So the body lives down here, but we're going to go for the upper half of this. And you just basically can look for the biggest hump and then go for where that sort of begins. And you can get a lot more of the clickiness, a little bit more snap out of your kick. So it's right around here. And actually, if we go in with the one with the layer, we see quite a bit more is there. So I want to sort of take advantage of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this band on. Oops, we've got them all on. Let's turn those ones off. We're just going to listen to the kick for now. And so what I have set up here is an expander. And the idea is I don't want to compress and then turn back up. I'd rather do what's called a method called transient shaping. Now I have a long attack and release, so this isn't really transient shaping. It's sort of like this gray area. But basically, when the kick triggers, it's going to pass a threshold. When that threshold is passed, which I have set here, it's going to turn it up to according to this range. And these work on percentage values, so it doesn't actually go all the way up here. So you kind of have to set this by ear. But basically, when it passes this threshold, it's going to turn the kick up in this band. So I am shaping the transient of the drum, sort of. There is attack and release. If I really wanted to do transient shaping, I could bring the attack band all the way down and also even mess with the look ahead. But I'm not looking to do that. I just want to augment the character of the kick. And so let's just go ahead and play this now with the band. And let's do before, just so you can remember what it sounded like, and then turn it on. Okay, one more time. All right, now let's turn it on. And you see we get a lot more. It actually sounds like it's got low end support, even though we're not really going for the low stuff. So this is the exact kind of thing that I was looking for. Now let's turn it off just one more time with it. So it's a nice little sheen, a nice little polish. And as an added bonus, I'm also using this kick to drive a side chain on the bass And so this move actually comes through quite nicely in the full mix. Now let's go ahead and let's turn our attention to those hi-hats. I have something here that's a little confusing, so I'm going to try and explain this and the way I sort of thought of it. These hi-hats are just a bit bright, and they're also consistently bright. I don't necessarily want this. I also have the reverb just flying off the snare, and I'm not the biggest fan of that either. So what we're gonna do is I also have this on expansion, but it's like a cut. So it's like there's a cut being applied, and it's allowed to turn up once it's past a threshold. So this is basically a fancy gate, and it actually is quite effective. So basically, when sound passes this threshold, it's going to be allowed to turn up. And let's go ahead. Let's just listen to it before. Now let's do after. So one thing that's really nice is it annihilates that really high reverb coming off the snare. And it also gives a small sense of pumping, which is actually something I kind of want in this case. Sounds like we've got dynamics on our hats instead of just a consistently loud hat the entire time. So pretty nice. Here's the before one more time. And after. So that's pretty nice. Now this mid band's sort of just a flavor move. I figured I'll try and experiment, see what I can get out of this. Also on expansion, I was just on a roll with expanders today. So this is just like the kick, only this one is a side boost. So what I have here is if you go into expert, you can actually turn it on to side. And so I've turned on side all the way. And this is only affecting the stereo difference between the two channels. This effect is actually more subtle than I thought it'd be. But let's just do a before and after. So here it is before, and this is affecting the upper mids. There's not a lot of content in here. I was mostly targeting this snare. Let's turn this on now. So one thing that's nice is the snap. It evens out a little bit more to me. And it takes the snare and adds a nice stereo position to it. When I say evens out to me, I mean when that snap happens, it was panned really hard one way before, or it was just not really hard, but it was panned in one direction. This sort of smooths it out, so it's still in that direction, but it doesn't sound so out of place like it was forced to be over there. And so that's what's going on there. When we affect the side channels, we're able to change that information a bit and help just position things in the mix in a little better of a way. So let's just turn all these off. And here it is with them off. And here it is with them on. So we're able to rein it in and get quite a nice result out. So it's a bunch of little moves, but when you put them all together, they become quite cool. Let's go ahead, let's hear it in the mix with everything. If you have any questions about this, let me know, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed day.